Potatoes Pave Cheese Fries. We got a great episode today. I don't get to say this too often, but I actually think I invented a new recipe, or at least created a new spin on an existing one. So, didn't happen on purpose, and in fact, I had 3 separate fails before I made this awesome pivot. Stay tuned with me for the highs and the lows while I run through this process on what turned out to be an absolutely amazing dish. So starting off, we're going to peel some potatoes and using a mandolin, slicing layers as thinly as possible. I'm then going to rinse these off in some cold water and then lay them out to dry on paper towels. Next, we're going to melt some butter in a big bowl, add some salt, garlic powder, and herbs de Provence, and essentially we're going to combine all of the potatoes that we have and get them as buttery and mixed as possible. We're then going to move into a loaf pan, so we have some parchment, and I'm simply layering the potatoes in, nothing fancy, nothing time consuming, just pressing down as hard as I can. I have a second piece of parchment that I'm using to kind of layer on the top, and then I'm folding over the original one on top of that. I'm going to smush down even more with another loaf pan before I cover in foil, and then we're going to go into the oven, 300 degrees Fahrenheit, 150 Celsius for 2 hours. And taking a knife after we're done baking, we want the knife to pierce through the layers of potatoes with very little pressure. You could see me here pushing down. We're good. 2 hours is usually going to be enough time. After we're happy, we're then going to cover with a loaf pan, and we're going to weigh this down as much as possible. And I'm simply using all the household items that will fit in the loaf pan here. That goes in the fridge overnight. We then unmold and we slice our pave slices, if you will. So go about an inch wide or so, and you can see just kind of going down the loaf. So for our first round, I decided I was going to deep fry these, and I'm not actually sure why. I'm still not sure a couple weeks later. I did see this on some other YouTube videos, but it became obvious very quickly that this was a terrible idea. And you can see we pretty quickly went from potatoes pave to potato chips. Which again, making our own chips, not the worst thing in the world, but that was not the intended purpose here. So unfortunately, we're going to rule this to be a disaster. And we're going to take these out and move on to round 2. A quick postscript note, if you will, is that these were pretty delicious. I mean, they're basically your fried potato chips, but again, not what we want. All right, so moving on to attempt number 2 in the cast iron. I even tried to put toothpicks in these so they didn't fall apart. You can already see it's pretty chaotic in there. Usually we get one flip in and then it kind of all goes downhill. The one in the middle looked pretty good. It looked pretty good. You could see it kind of just fell apart in the middle. And once you get to this point, there's really no going back. So I might try to get as much browning on the potatoes as I can. Like, that one looks pretty good. But, I mean, you could see the rest of the entire pot's just kind of an absolute mess. So let's move on. This one also clearly didn't work. We got one nice one to show for it, and then just a bunch of scraps. Round 3, here we go. So the big addition here is cream into the melted butter mixture. It's kind of fast forwarded the rest of the part, so we're already in parchment, adding our little parchment roof. We're gonna add our foil and bake for 2 hours at 300 degrees. We're gonna put pressure down in the fridge overnight, come out the next day, and we're gonna make our slices. So far, I'm actually feeling pretty good. These are staying together better, and I'm a little confident, but I know better not to get excited yet. So in a non-stick, we're melting some butter, and here we go. And you can even see the cream if you look close, like the potatoes. They look great. So far, so good. First flip, success. I'm feeling pretty good right about now. Very foreshadowing, right? So you can see the piece in the middle is fraying. This one here split down the middle. And here we go yet again, my friends. So the next few minutes is just a bit of chaos, me trying to spare as many of the larger pieces as I can. And I actually did an okay job, but I mean, this definitely did not go according to plan. So you can see here's all the salvageable chunks I have in a porcelain dish, and I'm gonna use the if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. If life gives you potatoes, you make some cheese fries. And that's exactly what I decided. I was gonna make some fancy cheese fries with an American cheese sauce. And essentially, here's that process. So I'm gonna make a roux, equal parts butter and flour. Once all our butter is melted, we're gonna whisk everything together. We wanna get like bubbling sand, kind of that consistency you see on the screen. Thrown in some garlic powder, paprika, and oregano. Whisking again, while everything's combined. You'll see it get a little darker. Then we're adding a cup of warm milk. Microwave for about 40 seconds and then dump it in. Whisk, whisk, whisk. We want the milk to get a little thick before we start adding our cheese, and whisk, whisk, whisk. And you'll see me do this over and over a few times. And essentially I'm doing that because I was so annoyed that this took 3 rounds to get right and still was wrong. But you can see the mixture gets nice and thick over time, and it's pretty much perfect right now. I will say these look pretty good right now. But here we go with our cheese, and this is modeled after, I'm a Philly guy, this is modeled after Steve's Princess Steaks, which was my local spot growing up. And they made this American cheese sauce, which I just freaking love. 40 years later, I still love it. It's super easy to make. You could use fancier cheese if you want, for sure. And just finishing off with some fresh pepper and some hot sauce. And here we go, let's give it a try. That's a fancy cheese fry. Would I make it again? Probably not. But I am quite proud of the pivot I made, and clearly I loved it because it's gone. Also, great shot. Just happened to catch that in a still. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed the mistakes. A good lesson learned. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment. We'll see you at the next one. Take care, everyone.